Alrighty, welcome back to another trade recap. Today I ended up taking 5 trades. Yes, that's right, 5 trades. 4 of them got stopped at break even, and then I took 1 loss by a tick. Now, all of them were shorts chasing this internal low and this unfilled 1 hour below, or just waiting for Asia to take ES. As you can see, we ended up doing that after just basically chopping for like 2 hours. So let's kind of just run through what I wanted to see. I took my trades in micros, go over what I wanted to see coming into market open. So coming into market open, I did have a bearish bias. Reason being is because over the past couple of days, we have been extremely bearish on the higher time frame, right? So we end up opening this 4 hour fair value gap in the overnight session, and you can't really see it because there's so much writing, but we end up opening this and we end up holding bearish, right? As market opens, as you can see, we begin to move higher. But when market is about to open, we are holding this 4 hour fair value gap bullish, as well as we are back at OTE of the price leg, equilibrium of the price leg. So what I wanted to see was I wanted to see market continue to be bearish, because at this point in time, I cannot be bullish until fair value gap gets ran through and we have a change in the state to the upside on the 4 hour to indicate that we want to go take all this generated buy side liquidity. So coming into market open, I was bearish bias. I wanted to see the market go lower, and also coming into market open, we had a bearish SMT with this internal high right here. So if we take a look over at ES ends up taking this internal high, NQ does not. So we end up putting in a bearish SMT coming into market open. We have Asia low resting below. We have this internal low. We have this unfilled 1 hour that's resting below, all acting as a draw to go lower. So my first trade actually ended up being a pre-market trade. Now, completely fine with taking this trade. It's kind of just roll over. So again, put in our bearish SMT. Again, we run this 1 minute, and then we also have a 1 minute change in the state of delivery. And we can see that we're making our way lower. If we go to the 5 minute, we've had that 5 minute change. So overall, I am bearish coming into market open, wanting to see this internal low become the draw and this unfilled 1 hour. During pre-market, building price action, right? We end up coming up, taking that internal high, right? So once we take that internal high, I immediately mark out this 1 minute, and I want to see how market is going to react to this unfilled 1 minute. We end up dancing a little bit, and then we end up running through this 1 minute. And as soon as we get below this 1 minute change, I'm going to enter short towards the internal low. End up coming up, respecting this 1 minute fair value gap. So we are respecting bearish order flow, disrespecting bullish order flow. We end up finally getting below that change. I enter short with a tight stop, targeting all the way down here, break even at the internal low. What ends up happening? Break even ends up getting hit, move my stop to break, and then not too much later at market open, we end up getting stopped out. So like I said, completely fine with taking this first entry. Honestly, we'll get into the other trades later, but completely fine with taking this first entry. Market open just ended up getting us stopped out. Have to go break even at this internal low, right? That's just my rule. So completely fine with this pre-market trade. So let's erase all this. Now, when this happens at market open, this does not mean we are now bullish, right? This does not mean we are now bullish. We end up taking the internal low, but then we also come up and end up taking the internal high once again. So at this point in time, when market opens, I just want to be patient, and I want to see what the market is going to do. I want to see what market is showing me and what we want to do. We end up coming up again, building more price action, tapping this 1 minute bullish for value gap. As of right now, we are respecting. I'm continuing to watch. We end up coming back up, having another internal manipulation, and then we also end up putting in a bullish SMT. If we take a look over at ES at 737, let's go over to ES at 737. Okay, so if we take a look at ES at 737, ES never takes this high. We end up putting in equal highs. So therefore, we have a bearish SMT because NQ takes the internal high. Now, what happens? I end up marking this change. If we get below this change, I am taking another short again to the 1 hour, to the internal low. We end up getting below that change in the state. I enter short, tight stop, again, targeting the internal low. Now, if we take a look at ES, this internal low, we take this low at 747, just to put in your mind. Right now, 741, and then as soon as 747 hits, which is right here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I move my stop to break. Also, when we take in this internal low, reason I move my stop to break is because when ES takes this internal low, we now put in a bullish SMT, right? And when we're fighting a bullish SMT, again, like I always say, I'm either going to close my position or I'm going to move my stop to break. Now, at this point in time, I move my stop to break because we took that internal low on ES, so we put in a bullish SMT, move my stop to break, and then as you can see, immediately get stopped at break. Again, completely fine with taking this trade. Change in the state, we end up inversing this 1 minute for value gap right here. Unfortunate, we just got stopped at break even. So deleting all this, and again, after this, I've taken 2 trades in 746. News just came out at 745. Not looking to take anything. I just want to watch price action and see what it is showing me and look if there's there's any A plus models down the line, right? So we end up pumping all the way up, right? And then we end up taking this internal high. So keep in mind, we take this internal high, the original SMT is still intact, and then we end up also putting in another SMT. If we take a look at ES over here, ES never ends up taking this high. So this high is right here on NQ. But ES never ends up taking that high. We end up putting in another bearish SMT and just generating more sell side liquidity at this internal low, and as well as the unfilled 1 hour. Obviously, this is the obvious draw, and if we take a look at ES, we're continuing to generate more sell side towards Asia, right? We are continuing to show a bearish order flow. I mark out 1 minute. We end up running this 1 minute to the downside. One more internal manipulation leg, continue to hold both bearish SMTs. And as soon as we get below this change, as soon as we show immediate displacement after having one more internal manipulation leg, I enter short. I put my stop a little below this low, and I target the unfilled 1 hour and all this generated sell side liquidity. I usually put, now some people call it dumb, but I personally don't mind doing it because this is a very rare thing to happen. What happened to me today? I put my stop always a little below the recent low. Reason being, I just like to cut off as much risk as possible, right? Because most of the time, if we come back up to this, to my stop, most of the time we're gonna stop me out. In this case scenario, that was just the opposite. We end up coming, here, I'll just walk through. We end up coming up, stopping me out to the tick. So we end up stopping myself out to the tick. Usually when I put my stop right here, which I always do, usually if I get stopped out, I'm just originally gonna get stopped out if my SL was at this high. But this case, we end up getting stopped out of that trade. So my first loss, and then we end up coming all the way back down and getting below these down close candles. I then re-enter short with my stop at the high, and again, target sell side liquidity with my break even at this low. Having really good displacement lower, hitting my break even, right? And if we take a look at ES ends up putting in equal lows with Asia low. So we never take that. I stop the break even, and unfortunately, we pump 120 points all the way back up to my break even. We end up pumping all the way back up towards my break even. So here's my third break even trade. Now, I understand that this is the obvious draw. At this point in time, I understand that we're generating more sell side liquidity. We end up coming back up, doing one more internal manipulation move, putting in another bearish SMT. Take a look over at ES. So if we take a look, ES never takes this high, NQ does. So we end up putting in another bearish SMT. As soon as we get below that change, right here, I enter short, stop at the high, again, targeting all this low resistance at the internal low. This is my last trade. I said this before I took it. This is my last trade. Again, just giving this another stab. We end up coming back down, hitting my break even. I move my stop to break even, right? We're seeing really good displacement. We end up coming back up, having our turtle soup, taking this internal high, then immediately having a bearish reaction, getting below this 1 minute change, and then we immediately go back higher, end up getting stopped out of break. This was my last trade, but yeah, those were the 5 trades that I ended up taking today. Again, don't normally take 5 trades. Down around like $1,000 across 7 accounts, down like $150 on each account. So nothing crazy, not a big loss day. Trades that I took today. I hope you guys enjoyed this trade recap, and I will catch you in